Yo, what's up, guys? Epic Gamer here, back with another banger. Today we're gonna be reacting to five horror stories, animated. I watched a few of these by myself earlier. Pretty scary. It's not light out here, but honestly pretty terrifying. So let's just get it started.
I was around 10 years old when this happened. Me and my two best friends and our parents were on a long vacation in Turkey in a very good and safe hotel. One night, me and my two best friends, who I'll call Tim and Phil for this video, were staying at Tim's room in the hotel while our parents were in the hotel restaurant. The room wasn't bad, actually all of our rooms seemed safe. At least we thought it was. We were having a lot of fun watching Simpsons and playing Monopoly, but what happened that night still makes me have chills. So it was around 1 a.m. and our parents were late. Phil looked at them through the window and said, "They're still in that stupid restaurant." "Yeah, they told us they'll come back until 11 p.m., I answered. Um, guys? Someone is knocking on the door, Tim said. "It's probably just room service,"
Well, look at that
Phil
cloud
said.
covering it. I'm kind of
Can
terrified.
we not open the door?" I said.
She's smart, girl.
I was pretty scared in that situation.
You're smart.
I was only 10, and my friends were only 2 and 3 years older than me. So we were all pretty much defenseless children in the room. Tim, who was the oldest, answered, "Oh, come on, it's just room service."
You know,
The guy on the other side of the door said, "Hello. Can you please open the door?" When he said that, we were all scared. In a couple of minutes of silence, he said in a louder voice, "Open the goddamn door!" I started crying because I knew he was in room service, because if he was, he would have talked in Turkish. I was in shock as in that moment I realized that this strange guy is using a fake ID card to open the door. Tim grabbed both of us and we ran to the bathroom and locked the door. Luckily, the guy wasn't fast to get us. He was screaming to open the door. I said, "Look, a phone!" Luckily, Tim's mom left her phone so we could call her if we needed anything. So Phil grabbed the phone and called his dad and told them the situation. And they came up to find the guy nowhere. They thought we were lying to them until the hotel manager showed them the footage. We found out that the man was stalking us and a couple other children. In a couple of days, police had finally caught him. He was a serial rapist and a pedophile. We were just lucky he wasn't fast to get us. I will never forget that night, as that was the worst day of my life.
Oh my god, that ended good. Next one. True missing brother story.
When I was 15, my mother went out shopping and left me in charge of the house. It was starting to get dark, and I realized my little brother was nowhere to be found. I asked my sister if she knew where he was, and she said he had gone to the park around the corner to kick his soccer ball around. I told her to watch the house while I was gone and ran off to the direction of the park. When I got there, I was surprised to find the park completely empty. I called out my brother's name, but there was no answer.
Really surprised.
I started to get worried, and all of a sudden I heard a faint muffled noise coming from my left. I turned just in time to see a tall figure disappearing behind a large fence. I sprinted as fast as I could. When I came around to the other side of the fence, I saw something that almost made me choke in horror. My little brother was being dragged down the alleyway by a tall man. I flew into a rage and tears of anger streamed down my face.
I know that's right.
I ran at him and he must have heard me coming because he turned around to face me and he dropped my younger brother. The tall man tried to grab me, but I was running at him so fast that when I slammed into him, it knocked him off his feet. He swore and tried to get back up, but I just started stomping on his face. Without stopping to ask questions, I picked my brother up and ran as fast as I could back to our house. By this time, it was pitch black outside and my mother was home. She was frantic with worry, and when she saw the look on our face, she realized that something bad had happened. As I explained, my brother and I started crying, and my mom gave us both the biggest hug ever, and she cried with us. Eventually, the police were called, but this guy was never found.
Hold on. Hold up. That's the same dude. That is the same dude from the last one. Bro, that man be stalking them children. Come on now. That's the same exact dude. Same hairstyle, same dusty clothes and everything.
This story takes place when I was a junior high school student.
You're older
One
now.
morning during summer vacation, after my father went to work, my mother and I decided to visit my maternal grandmother, who lived in a rural area.
Oh.
Since my grandmother's house was located in the countryside, getting there required making a left turn, then driving for 5 minutes through a narrow, one-car-wide, unpaved road. There were
That
rice
sounds
fields and
bad.
forest on the sides of the unpaved road.
Look at that tiny
As soon
buggy
as we
though.
arrived, I greeted my grandmother, then went into my youngest uncle's room. I used to like visiting my grandmother's house because my uncle was a huge gaming fan, and his computer was much better than mine at home. Uncle was at work. I turned on his
Girl, hold
computer
up.
and started playing Doom 3,
It's my little
which used to
sister.
be the most popular game once upon a time. After playing the game for about an hour or two, my uncle returned from work.
That's a creepy scene.
Upon his arrival, my grandmother asked him to take her grocery shopping, since my mother, my aunt, and I were visiting her house. So at about 7 p.m., they all drove to town to do some grocery shopping.
Granny too?
I was super excited and waved goodbye to them. Since I think it is unnecessary to explain why I was excited, I'll just leave it. After enjoying about 90 minutes of free time, my uncle called. He said he was about to turn left on the road, but one of the front wheels was punctured, and asked me to bring him a new tire which was in the storage shed. As I said before, after making that left
Nah,
turn,
fam.
it took about 5 minutes to drive through a narrow, unpaved single-lane road to see my grandmother's house, but it took about 20 to 30 minutes on foot. Now that I think about it, it was quite scary to walk on that road,
No dip.
especially at night. It had no streetlights and was surrounded by rice fields and forest. It was almost 9 p.m.
Where
and
Granny
that area
at?
got quite dark at about 8 because it was in the country.
Girls.
But not wanting anyone to know I was
Hold
a coward,
up.
I
We
decided
be
to
back
go.
in like 10 like 5 seconds.
Streetlights
Okay,
and was
and we're
surrounded
back.
by rice fields and forest. It was almost 9 p.m. and that area got quite dark at about 8 because it was in the country. So to be honest, I was really scared, but not wanting anyone to know I was a coward.
Comment
decided
down
to
below
go.
more scary
I
stuff.
grabbed the tire,
More
left
scary
the house,
stories.
and started
If
walking along the unpaved road.
you want me to do
I
more,
could see my
make
uncle
this
shining his car's headlights toward me.
maybe
That
we
said,
can do
he
spooky
was still
scary
quite far away
Saturdays.
from me, and the headlights looked
Comment
like
down
two
below
big yellow
SSS
dots.
if you want me to do more of these.
I was a bit relieved knowing my uncle and family were on the other end of this road, but the night was dark, which deepened my fear. You know, when you walk in the darkness, your eyes adjust, and you start to see unclear
Oh my
shapes.
god.
I felt like I could see someone standing in the rice field, and someone sitting down, resting his chin on his hands, and looking at me
Oh
through
my
the
god.
bushes.
That hurt my chest.
I broke out in a cold sweat
Nope, I'm
and
going.
held my legs to keep them from
I'm
shaking.
going. Oh my god.
It felt scarier than being alone on a
Don't trust
pitch
that.
dark night. And because of the fear and the delusion I had created, I remember feeling really dizzy. After walking for about 20 minutes, I looked towards my uncle's car and realized I was nearly there. Feeling happier, I rolled the tire faster. I rushed to hand over the tire to him as soon as possible, but saw something in front of me. I wasn't
Oh
sure
my
what it
god.
was because it was still a bit away from me, but it was something dark. Suddenly, I felt strange and slowed down. Since I wanted to determine what it was while still having some distance, I strained my head and neck trying to look carefully, but it was too dark.
Oh my God, no.
Although I was scared, I started to walk again, thinking nothing is going to happen because I have my uncle and family about 300 meters away. But when I got closer to it, I stopped because it became clearly visible. There was an old woman squatting with her mouth open, looking at the rice fields. I could only see the side of her face, but my whole body shivered because her blank facial expression with her mouth open was now clearly visible in the darkness. Without realizing it, I walked really close to the old woman. For reasons I don't understand, walking by without saying anything seemed even scarier, so I started talking to her. With a frightened voice, I asked,
Stupid.
"Excuse me, what are you doing here at night?" But she did not respond and kept looking at the rice field. On the verge of crying, I shouted, "Excuse me!"
Oh
She then
no.
looked at me, and I felt my heart tightening.
Oh my God.
Even though it was dark,
It's a
I could
zombie.
clearly see she had permed white hair, and I could only see the white parts of her eyes. The scariest thing were the huge wrinkles and stains covering her face and her wide open mouth. I
That's
felt
freaky.
strange, like I was going crazy while looking at her. I had eye contact, but was looking down while she was looking up at me. After a few moments of eye contact, she turned her body toward me. Oh my gosh, I thought she was sitting down, but realized she had no lower body.
I would have
She only had a
screamed.
torso and head which was supported from the ground with 2 arms. A
I
flood
would
of
have
thoughts
screamed.
crossed my mind, but I remember thinking, there is Satan right in front of me. I felt like she was going to run into me with her 2 arms if I didn't move, so I grabbed the tire of my arms and sprinted with my eyes closed tightly. Without remembering how long I'd been running, I suddenly felt relieved. It was the next morning, and I was in my grandmother's room. When I asked my mother what happened, she said she was waiting for me in the car and saw me sprinting with my head down, holding the tire in my arms, and suddenly fell off the road, causing my family to come out of the car shocked. After listening to my mother, I told her and my other family members what I went through. Thinking I had suffered a heat stroke, that evening my grandmother made me chicken soup. My uncle told me to stop playing horror games and wouldn't let me play Doom 3 anymore. From then on, I could only play a Star Wars racing game while staying at my grandmother's house.
Dang, the Wi-Fi. I gotta go back to the living room. Ah, ankle. This is embarrassing.
And wouldn't let me play Doom 3 anymore. From then on, I could only play a Star Wars racing game while staying at my grandmother's house. I still believe it was not a ghost that I saw that day. It was just an illusion caused by my mental weakness.
Oh my God. Nope, we gonna keep it paused right here. We gonna continue this in the next video. Okay? Cause like that hurt my chest. Alright, peace out, y'all. See y'all in the next video. Peace.